Buongiorno. That's more appropriate for me. You mind if I take this out of the way? No? I'm the boss right now, so that's okay. So we're good? Everybody happy? Everybody good? Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Haven't been here in a while, have I? What's the matter with you people? No. I'm just kidding, yeah. I'm just kidding. So, for those who has never heard me speak here? You haven't? You haven't? No? Okay. Well, I'm from the northern part of the state. I'm from Newburyport, Massachusetts. I'm one of the founding members of Unity on the River, and I've been involved with Unity for almost 25 years. I've traveled, I've been blessed to travel around the country and speak to many, many unitics all over the country. And it's always a really, really special day when I get to be here with all of you. So thanks for coming. And Jerry, good seeing you, my brother. You look great, really good. So today, are you ready to get naked and empty? Sort of, yeah. Don't be afraid. Don't be frightened. Nobody is going to disrobe here. Not physically anyway, but emotionally. Emotionally, we're looking to really disrobe, because today is about embracing vulnerability for unity, not just this particular unity, not just unity movement, but unity as an energy of the world. Won't you agree that we really need to unify? No matter what your religion, no matter what your likes, no matter what your beliefs. And together we are a strong force, and we can take this on. And we can step up and as individuals step into our vulnerability. And we'll get more into how that really helps the energy of the planet. Whether you're next to somebody, physically or not, energetically, we can stand with someone no matter if they're in Iraq, no matter if they're in Afghanistan, no matter where they are, we can get there, okay? So in a world that often encourages us to really hide our true selves, you know, we're called to embrace vulnerability and authenticity as a superpower, as a means to nurture unity within ourselves, within our own church and within the world. So we want to reflect on the power of vulnerability and how that can transform us. And when it transforms us, it transforms our relationships and our spiritual journey. You know, vulnerability is the antithesis to perfection. In our society, excuse me, the prevailing expectation to present ourselves as perfect and well put together, and that everything has to have this facade, if you will, in a way. It isn't authentic when we're looking at having to be perfect all the time. You know, I learned the most profound lesson, many lessons, regarding vulnerability. And if I may take a moment, I want to read, for those of you who don't know, this is a book that I wrote. I've also turned it into a documentary, which you can watch. Just go to my website, DeniseDeSimone.com, and put in your email, and you can push the button and watch the whole film. Has anyone seen it? Oh, you better get there. You better get there soon. So this is a book I wrote about my journey with stage 4 throat and neck cancer. They gave me 3 months to live 18 years ago. But what I said to the doctor when he said, oh, well, you know, I think you have 3 months to live. I said, oh, I decide. I'm still deciding, and it's 18 years later. So here is just a little excerpt. There's nothing quite like a cancer diagnosis. Am I getting feedback? Or is it just myself? Can you hear me? Okay. There is nothing quite like cancer diagnosis to help prioritize your life. Things that seemed so critical yesterday Like my daily routine, going to church, making sure I was well put together before heading out the door, and eating all the right things, now paled in comparison. But I needed to begin this day as normally as possible, so I took myself for a walk to help clear my head before making that emotional phone call to the Boston doctors. For the next few days, I was in slow motion. I did not have the emotional energy to move forward at any normal rapid-fire speed. Yet all the same time, and at the same time, I couldn't devour life fast enough. To say I was devastated was an understatement. What could possibly be the reason for being served a death sentence? I felt exposed in an unfamiliar way, turned inside out, tender and immobilized by it all. My eyes were constantly misty, not just because I was sad, but because life is so very precious and may be cut short. Looking deeply into the eyes of those I loved, I wondered, are these the last moments I will share with them? You see, I was vulnerable. I was so vulnerable. But vulnerability was the only ability I possessed. Vulnerability was the only ability that I possessed. Was I pretty ripped open? Yeah. Was I raw? Absolutely. Was I on my knees a lot? Yes. Yes. It turned out to be one of the most rich and informative and beautiful and spiritual times of my life. Would I do it again? Hell no. Do I want any of you to do it? No. But when you get lemon, what do? You make lemonade. So we are also bombarded with images of success and wealth and happiness, which leads to believe that vulnerability is a sign of weakness, right? How many think vulnerability can be a sign of weakness? There are times when you do that. However, the illusion of perfection only isolates us from one another. As a middle-aged congregation, we're all pretty much middle-aged. We know that a lot of life experiences have put pressure on us to conform to the expectations of society. But today, let's challenge this and embrace all of our imperfections. How about that? Because vulnerability is not a weakness. It is a superpower. It is a strength allowing vulnerability to be my only ability during that time. I grew stronger, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and when we allow ourselves to be seen, flaws and all. Flaws and all. Especially a cancer diagnosis. For me, I'm like, crap, what did I do wrong? I didn't do anything wrong, and neither did anybody else do anything wrong ever. But when we're willing to be seen for our flaws and all, we create a space, right? We create a container and a space for genuine, authentic connection. You with me? Why does it take us to breaking points? Why? It doesn't have to. The other night I had some people over. We were watching football. And she arrived late. And she had been to a party. And she was pretty happy. She was pretty drunk. But at one point during the evening, she decided, I don't know if she decided. I don't think it was a decision. I think it was more an emotion, because she was, that liquid courage that you get when you drink too. I don't know. I don't really drink. I might have a little bit of this or that, but it's not my thing. And she opened up about something that was heavy on her heart. And she began to cry. Now, this isn't someone that does that. And I thought, God bless her. It took a little bit of alcohol. But she's opened up. And you know what happened? The room had no interest in the football game. No. Because our hearts came open. And we just focused on what was going on with her. And she shared with us, and she spoke honestly and truthfully. And everything shifted. And my prayer for all of us is, when the next time this happens and you can have the opportunity to be vulnerable, be vulnerable. Remember this day, not with liquid courage, but with just courage. Speak your truth. That's our God-given right, but yet because vulnerability is so scary, if we think it is, practice. Don't let it be. Use it as your superpower. It opens the doors to empathy and compassion and understanding. And all the walls we built to protect ourselves start to come down. Right? You know, through vulnerability, we can truly experience love, a deep love, and the grace of God and the love that God has for us. Because God is where? He's in all of it. She's in all of it. People say, oh, I got to pray so God will come. No, here's the deal. God doesn't come. We go. God doesn't come to us. God is always with us, like your breath, because God is what? My breath. You're not breathing if God isn't that. We're not thinking, we're not speaking. So next time you pray, oh God, please come. But no. Pray, thank you, God, for being here. I'm sorry I got a little bit lost. But I'm right here, right now, and I'm with you, and this is what I need. You know, Jesus himself embraced vulnerability, sharing his struggles and doubts and fears to his disciples. Anybody watching The Chosen? Yeah? It's great. Season 4 came out this past week, and the first 3 episodes are in the theaters. You know Shipley? Reverend Shipley from Unity on the River? Yeah, she and I and a couple other people went. It was 3.5 hours with a 5-minute intermission. But it seemed like 10 minutes, I swear. It seemed like I didn't even get a chance to eat my whole cookie. And boom, we were done. But Jesus said in Matthew 5:5, blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Meekness is not the same as weakness. It involves humility and a willingness to not use our power to dominate others. In that way, it's a type of vulnerability that Jesus was referring to. To embrace vulnerability, we have to first strip away the masks. We all wear masks. You can say, oh, no. Yeah, you do. We all do. We're human. And the walls we build and the fear of judgment, just as Adam and Eve stood naked, thank God there were a couple of fig leaves hanging around. But they pretty much stood naked in front of God in the Garden of Eden. We have to be willing to stand naked, emotionally naked, and unabashed, open and empty. And I'm not saying just when you come to church and hear me say this. I'm saying in life. When you're with someone you love and you've had an argument or whatever, the first person that can stop that pugnacious energy and strip it away and be vulnerable. I don't care who it is, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your lover. Be the one, be the big one. Have courage and know vulnerability is my superpower. Denise said I have a superpower. And it changes the energy just like that. And in our emotional nakedness, we find the courage to be our authentic selves. It just can't be any other way. So what does it mean to empty ourselves? In addition to embracing our nakedness, we have to also empty ourselves of pride, ego, and a need for control. I know about the control one. I'm Italian. And a double Virgo. That is a bad mix, but it's a great mix. So let's take a look at pride. Pride is a natural human emotion, right? It can be not negative and it can be positive. And used in a healthy way, pride can boost our self-esteem and motivate us to keep doing, to keep reaching the goals, to keep doing what moves us. However, when people misuse pride, they can be detrimental. It can be detrimental. They can have an arrogance about them and disregard for others. We all know somebody like that, right? Yeah, we do. You know what you do for that? Pray for them. Don't go like this. Maybe you don't want to hang around, but pray for them, because they too are struggling. When somebody's so puffed up with pride, they got low self-esteem, I think, anyway. But it can blind us to our own flaws and prevent us from learning and growing, because we can get a little puffed up too, right? Additionally, the misuse of pride places strains on every relationship we have, beginning with our own. Don't get stuck in prideful ways. It's important to find a balance and develop a humble pride so it allows us to appreciate what we've accomplished without diminishing the value of other people. And being too prideful turns us into little control freaks, right? We need control. Can someone shut those doors, please? We need control all the time. But we don't need to be in control. We don't have to take it on and be in control to a point where we're obnoxious. It can have negative effects on our well-being. And again, it's another that can harm relationships. When we constantly strive for control, we become stressed, we become anxious, and overwhelmed with that constant need for control. It leads us to that perfectionism. So that constant need for control is also rooted in fear. False evidence appearing real, right? It can also strain our relationship. Just like pride, it puts such a veil of inauthenticity over everything we do. So be mindful of that. You know, the need for control can obstruct our personal growth. We need to be able to let go of that. And we don't want to get stuck in a groove that doesn't serve us. We want to pull ourselves out of it. And it's important to recognize that not everything in life is within our control. And I know people that are so controlling. I'm not controlling. And they get defensive. The first sign, even look at yourself. I know when I'm not controlling. I don't have to have control. You can do it. That's when I really need to look at myself. And that's when we need to help others. When we let go of our desire to be in control, you know what happens? We open up a space for God's grace and God to work in our lives. That's what we're doing here. We have to trust that God's plan is way better and so much more grand than anything we can even imagine left to our own devices. You know, I'm moving in a couple of months, not even. I'll be moved by April 1st. And I have been, even though I know you still get caught in that little bit of holding on so tight. You know, I learned a long time ago, hold your palms with open palm. Hands with open palm, because if you try and hold on to a dream or what you think has to happen, it has to look a certain way, there's no room for God to come in. And for you to say, wow, I didn't think of that, but that's the best thing. For me, I've been thinking, oh my God, where am I going to live? I got to blah, blah. It's a long situation, but I took on taking care of a friend of mine who has Parkinson's. She had a really couple tough things happen. Her only sibling, her sister a year younger than her, dropped dead. She was one of my best friends. This woman's like a sister to me. 38 years we've been friends. Then her partner of 33 years died a week later. So now what do? I take care of her, right? I give up my home, I find a place. Now I need something different. And I'm thinking, oh, geez. You wouldn't believe the magic that happened. Only because I said, I don't know. You, go do it. And you can talk to Spirit like that. I need this, and this. I know. Your plan's better than mine. Go figure it out. Go do it. And literally within a week. It's an amazing, amazing place. And then the third, the trifecta of wonderfulness of our humanness is our what? Ego. The ego is the sense of self-importance and identity that we all have as individuals. And while a healthy ego is really important, it is. It provides us with safety, confidence, and a strong sense of self. But misusing our ego, it can have such negative consequences. I think it has the most negative consequences of pride and control and perfection. And when we become inflated with our ego, we become overly self-centered. We can't see other people. We're arrogant and we're dismissive. And this too, with control of friends and pride and ego, it leads us into, again, another level of strained relationships. So all these things that we're talking about put strain on relationships, beginning with us. And an excessive ego can blind us to our own flaws again. The only way we can grow is to admit and be willing to look, right? You know, when I was sick, people said, how did you do it? How the heck did you come through this? And I said, I didn't do anything. I undid a lot. And when we're willing to look at ourselves and the flaws and undo and peel away, that's when we can just be our raw, authentic self and be vulnerable. And you know what happens? We heal. Because we're not got those ants, those automatic negative thoughts that steal our good that you've heard me talk about. Because there's 75,000 thoughts a day running around. And most of them are ego-based. And we have to stop, pause for personal peace, think about what you think about. And, you know, sometimes when my butt gets going, I just say, oh, time out. I'm going to make an appointment with you, all you negative ants. And at 5 o'clock, I'm going to let you have the floor. You can talk to me, you can give it all to me, you can dump crap all over me, but you got 15 minutes. After that 15 minutes, we're done till tomorrow. Take all your ant friends and get the hell out of here. Because I'm thinking all positive thoughts. And when you catch yourself with the ants creeping back in, no, it's not time. Sorry, doors are closed, not open. It sounds silly. I'm going to ask you to try it. And you can't do it unless you think about what you think about. Never thought about it, right? Pay attention to what you pay attention to. So we don't want to be arrogant. We don't want to be dismissive. We want to learn. It's important to keep our ego in check and really cultivate that sense of humility and empathy. The world needs it, folks, right? Are we in an interesting place? You know, I have a sister that lives in Osterville. I call it Awesomeville. And I've been down here for a couple days with her. And we were I love sitting at the table and talking to my sister. She's 18 years older than me. And she's got a bunch of kids, 6 kids, they're all married. She's got 15 grandchildren, a couple of great-grandchildren. And we were talking about the state of affairs in the world and the election and how much animosity and what's going on. And she said, you know, I feel bad. I said, what do you feel bad about? I feel bad, all these young kids. Anybody ever know people that go to the food pantry, the St. Vincent de Paul food pantry down here? Yeah. That's my sister who runs it. She's 85 years old, and she works harder than anyone I know. And she said, you know, I feel bad that I created this family and now all these little babies, and we're leaving them to grow up in this. That crushed me. I said, no, how about this? I went upstairs and I thought about it. I came down. I said, you know, Dee, I got to tell you something. What, honey? I said, we have to remember, no matter how bad it gets, that we label it as bad. No matter how tough it gets, it's for a reason and it's all balancing itself out. Yes, does it hurt? Yeah. Does giving birth hurt? I don't know. I escaped it, thank God. I didn't want to ever do it. How many mothers in here? It hurt, didn't it?
It hurts.
But look what you got. We are in a birth canal. We are giving birth to a new us. And all of this polarity has to come in extreme ways to bring us back to center. I said, Dee, here's the deal. These kids are the ones that we've been waiting for. Yes, they're young, but have you hung out with some 2- and 3-year-olds? They are smarter than anybody else I know. You know, when my 2-and-a-half-year-old great niece is teaching me, Auntie, do you know 5-syllable words? I said, wait a minute, what? Yeah, I know a few. You got some? Oh, yeah. They got it. They got this. But it's up to us to keep paving the way, and that's why we're here. So it broke my heart when my sister said that. So let's remember that unity isn't achieved through perfection or anything like that, or the appearance of being strong and having our mask on. True identity is born of what I'm talking about, vulnerability, and a willingness to stand naked and empty before one another and before God. Really be willing. And let's all embrace vulnerability as that path to deeper connections. You want to? Because we'll heal spiritually and we'll grow. And let's commit to growing a church. Not just this church, but starting with this church where all of us can feel safe to really be ourselves, our true, authentic, vulnerable selves. And we find strength and unity, and we bring the world into it, and we bring the world together. And we pray for all people and come together in honest communication, letting God lead the way, because God is the way. We get out of the way. Let God lead the way. You know, when I pray, I have a group of women, there's 4 of us, we're called the Divinities. And we've been meeting every Wednesday for 2 hours for years. Never miss a week, unless something's really bad. And when I pray, one of the women always says, man, I have such prayer envy. How do you pray like that? I want to learn to pray. I said, it isn't me. I just get out of the way. Spirit comes in and says what he says and she says. So pray, 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 pray. Not in a please, in a bargaining and a begging, but pray in the affirmative, like that's how unity is, right? If you know how to pray unity way, if you're a real good unitic, you pray in an affirmative way. Hey, thanks for listening, and your kind attention is appreciated. God bless us all.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass., and visit us online at unityoncapecod.org. This video was made possible in part through a grant from Unity Worldwide Ministries and the Templeton Foundation.